guys, what's up? Today I have some exciting news for you. Brock and Misty fans who have been waiting ever since they decided to get rid of Misty just after Johto, who had a small cameo in the Hoenn region, and when obviously Brock was replaced in the Unova region by the grass specialist Simon. It appears that there will be 2 episodes broadcast on the September 14th and the 21st. It mentions Ash and Pikachu will return to the Kanto region for a school project, and involves a visit for his Pokemon left in the Professor Oak's lab, as well as meeting up with Brock and Misty where he decides to battle them. It mentions that Brock has a Mega Steelix, obviously that's evolved from his Onix, and Misty has a Mega Gyarados. This has been much awaited, as with the variety of Pokemon that exist, it would be nice to see how the 2 first gym leaders from the Kanto region have developed and what new Pokemon they will have added to their teams. Also, consider times when Ash has visited the lab before. There's usually been something that happens, such as a meet-up with Gary, which happened a few times before he set out for a new journey, or a scenario just as likely, the evolution of one of his stored Pokemon. An example of this was when Ash decides to switch out his Pokemon for the Sinnoh League. He brought a Cyndaquil in, and during an altercation with Team Rocket, it ends up evolving into Quilava. Okay, I know you guys, this is not perhaps the best example to use, but I would not doubt this to be the case. Now, let's have a look at the Pokemon that these characters already have, and any possibilities that they could be brought back. One of the newest is Azurill. This was a Pokemon bred from Tracy's Marill, and is a calm and carefree Pokemon. There was only ever a brief showing of it during the Scheme Team episode, and so its strengths are unknown. There is the potential, since it was a baby at the time, that it may have reached a Marill or Azumarill stage by now, as it needs to reach level 18. And I would believe this to be the case, as the previous Pokemon Misty used to hold was Togepi, which evolved in the cameo in Hoenn. The next Pokemon is Lovedisk, named Catherine, which was found in the Kanto region. In the story, this was used in one of the water shows in the Cerulean Gym, and has been paired with another Lovedisk called Luverin, owned by Daisy, her sister. It was shown in Lovedisk is a many splendid thing in a short series of episodes outside the main anime. Next Pokemon is Corsola. This was obtained during the Corsola Caper in the Whirl Islands, and was caught as it had a wild nature, in contrast to the other Corsola. This is the Pokemon Misty catches in her Lure Ball, and has moves such as Recover and Spike Cannon. The next Pokemon is Gyarados. This was caught in Cerulean Blue, overcoming Misty's own fear when an inspection was conducted in the gym. I'm not sure of the moves it has, but since this is her Mega Pokemon, I would imagine it would have a bite move like Crunch, as it's when it Mega Evolves, it becomes part Dark, as well as moves such as Dragon Dance, and probably they'll throw in a Hyper Beam for good measure. The next Pokemon is Psyduck. This was caught in Hypno's Nap Time, as no one had claimed ownership of it. This was the trademark Pokemon of Misty, always coming out of its Pokeball when not needed. Very confused, but at moments of need, it would help out in a pinch. From memory, it had moves like Confusion, Headbutt, and Fury Swipes. It would be interesting to see if Psyduck has evolved, as it has been one of the longest members of her team, and if the animators try to make Misty more mature, there is a possibility that it could even evolve into a Golduck. The next Pokemon is Politoed. It evolved from a Poliwhirl in Outrageous Fortunes, as it steals Ash's King's Rock. It's a very playful nature, but is one of the stronger members of her team. The next Pokemon is Starmie, first seen in the water flowers of Cerulean City, then given to her sisters in the Misty Mermaid, and then reobtained in Cerulean Blue. It was used in battles against Team Rocket, against Ash, and in events such as some of the Pokemon racing. I think it won't see any use, as it may be replaced by a different Pokemon. The next Pokemon is Horsey. This was obtained in Tentacle and Tentacruel, where it warned about their anger over their nests being built on. It was left in the episode Misty Mermaid, and reobtained in Cerulean Blue. At this point, I would expect it to become at least a Seadra or even a Kingdra, as Misty's aim was to become the best Water-type trainer. This would be fitting if she had a Kingdra, considering its commonality within other trainers. Next Pokemon is Staryu. This was first seen in Clefairy and the Moonstone. It has been a consistent battler for Misty and has had various appearances within her time with Ash and Brock. It had moves such as Rapid Spin and Water Gun, as well as Swift, and Misty claimed that though Staryu did not have a face, she could still sense what it was feeling. The final Pokemon is Goldeen. Out of the original Pokemon, this was used the least, as Goldeen was reliant on water battlefields and has been seen in battles against the Coastline Gym, against Molly, a kid in the movie The Mystery of Unknown. In terms of Pokemon I would like Misty to have when battling Ash. P.S. I am considering this to be a full battle, and so will be listing 5 Pokemon outside of the Gyarados already confirmed. I would want either a Lantern or a Whiscash, as this is a typical strategy to be used against electric types to protect themselves. I feel either of these would be good, as Misty knows Ash has his Pikachu and would be used to counteract that strategy. Also, I feel that these Pokemon are mostly featured as background Pokemon in some of the lakes they visit and deserves more airtime. Another Pokemon I think might be used is Alomomola. But Peter, are you insane? There are much better Pokemon to choose than that. A bulk of pink you call a Pokemon? Hold on now, guys. Let me explain myself. Since Misty has a Love Disc, and I do not think it will be used, you would want a Pokemon that looks similar, and Alomomola definitely fits the bill perfectly. Also, since this is a Unova Pokemon, it would not be unreasonable to suggest that Misty will have Pokemon outside of the regions we have seen her visit. The next Pokemon on my list would be Chloritza. I would consider this to be a bit ironic if this was used, as Misty was present at the time Ash caught his Krabby. Okay, I know she did not actually witness the catch, but she was aware that Ash had caught the Krabby. Misty was also around at the time where it evolved into a Kingler and won a match for Ash in the Pokemon League. Since Ash has a claw-based Pokemon, I could easily see Misty running this for that reason. The next Pokemon I would consider would be Lumineon. I would consider this as Misty has a Goldeen, but is less useful, as well as Misty's attraction to many water types. Describing their beauty, Lumineon is the epitome of this, and could follow a more complicated strategy than the standard attack used in the first seasons. An example would be in the case of, if you look at the Hoenn Gym Leader 1, or from the Hoenn League, used Lovely Kiss on Grovyle when Ash challenged him to a battle. The final Pokemon I could see Misty running is Samurott. This might seem strange to some people, but I feel that Misty will have a fully evolved version of a starter Pokemon to surprise Ash. I feel this is most suited as it has seen one of the least uses in the anime, as others have made better and more frequent cameos, with some like Empoleon being used by significant characters within the story, whom obviously we remember it was partnered with Barry. I would exclude Primarina from this list as a potential starter, as they are nearing the end of the first season within the Alola region, and so if she was to have it, there would have to be some sort of justification as to why she caught it. P.S. It is easier for people to believe that Misty has caught a Pokemon from a previous generation than a generation that is currently running. In terms of Brock, the Pokemon he has caught up until he left at the end of Sinnoh to become a Pokemon Doctor have been more varied than Misty, and is so more difficult to guess. Let's first look at his current Pokemon. These are Sudowoodo, an iconic Pokemon that evolved from his Bonsly. In Leave It to Brocco, it had been one of his longest running Pokemon, as the others have been rotated out and left in the Pewter City Gym. Sudowoodo had a very relaxed personality and was very charismatic. It was involved in a number of battles and races. Sudowoodo has moves such as Mimic, Double Edge, and Flail. The next Pokemon is Croagunk, where Brock met this Pokemon at an unofficial gym run by Team Rocket, whom had followed Meowth as Meowth was trying to use the grocery store, and so Jesse decided to use Croagunk in battle. When Croagunk decided to join Brock, they became close very quickly, and Croagunk would often let itself out of its Pokeball in order to poison jab Brock whenever he started announcing his love to a girl. Eventually, Brock learnt to, in part, hold himself back as he knew he was in for a poison jab to the back. Croagunk, as a Pokemon, has had many uses within his battles, but most noticeably, when facing against Team Galactic Saturn, he would always lose against his evolved form, Toxicroak. He was attained in the episode Jambalaya. Croagunk could see use in the battle as it has been reliable as a dual-typing Pokemon. It could counter some of Ash's Pokemon easily. The most interesting thing to note is why is Brock back? Is it possible that he has changed his mind from becoming a doctor and has returned to become the Pewter City gym leader? The animators could explain this easily, as the father had always been shown as incompetent, and by the time they eventually shown the mother, she had always wanted to turn the gym into a water gym. So from that, Brock could have been forced to come back. The next Pokemon is Chansey. This Pokemon evolved from Happiny in the episode The Brockster is in. The episode involved them on a boat heading towards Twin Leaf Town to the end of their adventure in the Sinnoh region. Happiny evolved at a time of need when a group of baby Pokemon were poisoned by a group of Tentacruel. Brock had managed to find supplies such as antidotes and Pecha Berries for most of the Pokemon, except did not have enough for Pichu. So Chansey used Soft Boil to recover Pichu's energy. As a Pokemon, it will not see any use in the battle, as though Happiny was very strong, it was a baby, and probably had that strength at the time it needed to. In contrast, Chansey has probably been side by side with Brock doing his doctor's rounds, and therefore has lost its competitive expertise in this field. The following Pokemon are those held in the Pewter City Gym. These include Marshtomp, where it evolved from Mudkip in a chip off the old Brock. It has a similar personality to Brock, and falls in love almost as often, and is always seen as stopping arguments between other Pokemon. Marshtomp has been used in a number of battles, including in a contest against May. If it is the case of Brock becoming the gym leader again, this would make sense, as though it is a rock-type gym. The ground nature of Marshtomp would deem it justifiable to be run, and could be evolved at this time. I would feel it would be right to see Swampert, as this would show development of the Pokemon. Though again, it may not, as since Swampert has the ability to be a Mega Pokemon, it may have kept this form. The next Pokemon is Fortress. This evolved from Pineco in Entei at your own risk. It has been used commonly in battles against Team Rocket. When it had evolved, it stopped exploding as it was when it was a Pineco, and was the only Pokemon Brock brought with him to the Hoenn region. He appeared when Ash, May, and Max were being attacked by a flock of Tailo. This may not be in the battle, as it works more defensively, and would be overshadowed by the options Brock could substitute for. The next Pokemon is Ludicolo. It evolved from Lombre in Once in a While, when it stole a Water Stone from another trainer's bag. Ludicolo is one of Brock's more energetic Pokemon, and is known for dancing. It was left at the gym to help with his family, and may not be used as its battle experience is limited. The next Pokemon is Crobat, whom evolved from Golbat in Control Freak. It evolved at a time of need when Brock demonstrated his care towards it when facing Team Rocket. Out of all Brock's Pokemon, it tends to be the most obedient and follows instructions easily, often seen cutting down Team Rocket's balloons. It was entrusted to his immediate younger brother Forrester to look after. I think this Pokemon will be used by Brock, as it has a very good moveset and would add to the variety of the team he has built. It is also faster than any of his other Pokemon, and would be run if only for that. The final Pokemon in the Pewter City Gym is Geodude. This was first seen in Showdown in Pewter City and fought against Ash and Pikachu before being taken down by an electric-type attack. In terms of whether it would be used, I would highly consider it being on the team, as since the Steelix was confirmed evolved from his Onix, it would only make sense. However, I do feel that it will be a Golem at the time of the battle, as it has done time at the gym, and so would be encouraged to become stronger by facing various opponents. I considered the only previously owned Pokemon that Brock had that hadn't been as a result of evolution to be his Vulpix, which was given by a Pokemon breeder called Susie in the episode Pokemon Fashion Flash. When they were going through a major city for breeding shops, Vulpix was known for being fussy, as it would only eat poker food from Susie or Brock, and was used in a limited number of battles, more for practice battles with Ash. Brock obviously took great care of it, and was very much aware of not ruining its coat. It was given back to Susie in the episode Beauty and the Breeder. This would be a wildcard entry, as we did not see what happened to Brock outside the episode specially developed for him at the end of Sinnoh, as it was never dubbed. There is every chance that Brock met up whilst working as a Pokemon doctor and trained Vulpix up to the point where it evolved into a Ninetales. Now, these are the Pokemon Brock has had. Now, for my opinions of the 5 potential other Pokemon Brock could have. The first Pokemon is Nidoking. The reason for this is Brock has had to have more than one Pokemon from Kanto. Since Steelix is considered a Johto Pokemon, you would expect a Pokemon with a decent attack stat. It being both poison and ground gives it variety, and they have faced Nidoking a couple of times before, one of them being in a national park. This Pokemon is typical of the variety he would have, as its stats are quite balanced and would provide mid-level support for his team. The next Pokemon is Ferrothorn. I would consider this as this is a new incarnation of Forretress and would provide the same type of support. It being of an unusual typing would also complement his ability to diversify his team. He was very much into the type of strategy with Forretress of having spikes used. You see it used in the Hoenn region a few times, and other more technical moves, which would throw off his competition. The next Pokemon I would consider is Avalugg. This is a very bulky Pokemon and tends to replicate the fighting style Brock prefers, to weaken your opponent slowly over time than to deal with Pokemon immediately. It also being a completely different type to what he already has, would go in the same direction as many of the animators have done with various characters, to give them at least one very strange, unusual Pokemon that you would never see in a million miles. The next Pokemon is Rampardos. This would be because it is a fossil Pokemon. This would work in the same way that Rourke used it in his Sinnoh battles, and could be set up with the story of whilst he is on his travels, he may have met up with someone who uncovers this fossil, and for some reason gives it to him. As a Pokemon, it has high attack stat and could be used to finish his opponent quickly when he's given no other choice but to do so. With moves such as Head Smash, I'm sure this would be something that Brock would have taught to the Rampardos. The final Pokemon I would consider is Hawlucha. This may seem unusual as its typing is different to anything else, but is standard within his style of battle when facing certain Pokemon. Its combination of fighting and flying permits decent coverage against other Pokemon. It's also unusual as a choice, considering that Ash also has a Hawlucha, and so there is every chance that you will see at least maybe one duplicate Pokemon used on either side, or that the either side had stored or had been on their adventures with. Lastly, in relation to the Pokemon that Ash will have when facing them, he currently has on his team his original Pokemon Pikachu. This is guaranteed to be used on the team and was first introduced in Pokemon I Choose You. It has developed its Z-Ring and will be necessary to run against teams using Mega Evolution Pokemon. The main attacks it relies on are electric ones, meaning that more Pokemon will have to be obtained, as at this moment he only possesses 4. The next Pokemon is Rowlet. This is Grass-type Pokemon captured in First Catch in Alola Ketchum style. Ash first found it when Rowlet was living with a flock of Pikipek, Trumbeak and Toucanon, where it failed to bring food. It became attracted to the sweet scent used by Mallow's Bounsweet. Ash gave it food and it decided to join Ash. It tends to stay in Ash's backpack and knows the move Leafage. This Pokemon could be used, but is too weak at the moment to be on the team. It could potentially be swapped out, unless it somehow evolves within the next couple of episodes to Dartrix. The next Pokemon is Lycanroc Duskform. Rockruff evolved in the episode Rockruff and the Guardian Deity of the Ruins of Life. Rockruff had defeated the Grand Trial of Akala Island, which made its behaviour change. It was then helped on by Tapu Lele to evolve. This Pokemon will be used in the battle as it has great strength, and being its fully formed self means it can battle easily. The last Pokemon that he has with him is Litten. This was captured in One Journey Ends Another Begins. Litten was first seen walking around Hawlucha City being fed by the locals. Ash became friends with it after being injured by a Persian when it looked after an injured Stoutland. It seems not to care, but hides its protective nature. Litten then became the Pokemon that kept helping in times of crisis, like Sandile did in Unova. It kept avoiding joining Ash until it battled, much the same as Bulbasaur in the Kanto region. It knows moves such as Ember and Fire Fang. This Pokemon will probably be used in the battle, as it has been mentioned to be a competent battler. If I were to assume that Rowlet won't be used in a full match, this would mean Ash would need to capture 3 other Pokemon or use his current Pokemon from the lab. If we look at his Pokemon, the first is Talonflame. This evolved during a legendary photo op. Ash first found a fletchling stealing food from Dedenne. It evolved into a Fletchinder, and then that evolved into Talonflame when facing Moltres. It has moves such as Brave Bird and has the ability Flame Body. I don't think it will be used, as it has only just been sent to the lab and so is less likely to be seen this early on. The next Pokemon is Hawlucha. This was seen in the Forest Champion. Ash saw it protecting Pokemon from a bully. Hawlucha decided to join Ash with moves High Jump Kick, Karate Chop and Flying Press, and has faced a number of gym battles. I do not see this being used, as for the same reason it has been too recent and its main moves are fighting. Ash would likely use something else. The next Pokemon is Noivern. This evolved in an electrifying rage. It evolved in response to needing to save Hawlucha from Zapdos, and it has moves such as Boom Burst and Dragon Claw. I could see this Pokemon being used, as Ash does not have many dragon types, and so would be surprising for Brock and Misty to face. The next Pokemon is Charizard. This was first seen in Attack of the Prehistoric Pokemon, where Charmeleon evolved in response to an Aerodactyl attacking it. This is the most probable of Pokemon Ash could use, as it has always saved his bacon in difficult circumstances. On the other hand, since Brock and Misty have seen it before and would know the general move sets, Ash may set this aside for the future. The next Pokemon is Oshawott. This first came out in a Sandile Gasher of Change. This was one of the first Pokemon offered by Professor Jupiter. It was one of the starter Pokemon. It defended Ash when facing Team Rocket and joined Ash of its own accord. Its nature is very friendly towards Ash and tries to get more attention than Pikachu. It knows moves such as Water Gun and Razor Shell and has been useful in gym battles. It likes to escape its Pokeball. This Pokemon could be used in a full battle, as Ash does not have any other water types with him at the moment, and so would be useful against Brock especially. The next Pokemon is Pignite. This evolved in Evolution by Fire from Tepig during a battle against Tepig's original trainer. Before being with Ash, it had been discarded. Pignite knows Fire Pledge, Flamethrower, and Flame Charge. I don't think this Pokemon will be used as Litten is already with Ash and seems to be powerful enough to not warrant replacing. The next Pokemon is Snivy. This was captured in the episode Snivy Plays Hard to Catch. Ash first found it when it was taking food, so to prevent this from continuing, he caught it. Snivy is a female and knows moves such as Attract, which was often relied upon to prevent the opponent from attacking. However, the problem with this was when facing other females, this was ineffective. This is why Pidove was used to counter it, and this is also the moment Ash realises Pidove is a female. Snivy also has Vine Whip and Leaf Storm. I could see this replacing Rowlet for the battle, as this is more versatile and could be used both defensively and offensively. I think out of the rest of his Pokemon, he will likely choose Donphan, as it has been reliable and has been shown in a great number of battles. Another Pokemon is Infernape for its power and being a fully evolved dual fire and fighting type that works well with Ash. Lastly, I could see Ash using his Gibble in the battle, but would not be surprised since it was a Pokemon from Sinnoh to see it evolve into Gabite or Garchomp and for it to have matured. I do not see a fully evolved Garchomp chomping down on Ash's head anytime soon. In relation to Pokemon Ash could have captured before facing Brock and Misty, these could be Alolan and Raticate. This would be ironic as they were around at the same time of the SS St. Anne, when Ash traded his Butterfree temporarily for Raticate. It would be effective as a caught Pokemon, as the only other Dark type Ash has is Crocodile, and that's not a pure Dark, it's a Ground and Dark type. Another Pokemon he could have is either Oranguru, or more likely Persimmon. I would say this because the last episode aired for Sun and Moon showed an Oranguru coming to the rescue of Mallow when attacked by Team Rocket. This means it must be in the lush. They must be in the lush jungle on Route 8 in Akala Island. I would say Persimmon over Oranguru because it reminds me slightly of Primeape, so they could justify that kind of Pokemon for Ash to use. In contrast, Ash doesn't have any Psychic type Pokemon, so it would be more unusual for him to have Oranguru. A final Pokemon I could see Ash capturing is Palossand. This might seem strange, but Ash doesn't have much in the means of Ghost types, and would like to see how Ash would interact with this Pokemon. Also, with the silly nature that he has been seen to have, especially for Sun and Moon, it would be very easy for the animators to create scenes relating with Palossand and to obviously either capture it or befriend it before Ash technically catches it. Overall, I think that it will be interesting to see what these three trainers will use in their battles and how Brock and Misty have matured within the time they have separated from Ash. So, what do you guys think will happen in the battles? Who do you think will win? What Pokemon do you think will be used? And how do you think the win or loss will affect the characters? I would like to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like the video, subscribe and click the bell for notifications. And thank you for taking the time to watch the video.
Some things will never change. The lonely loner